Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the Houston Astros potentially trading for Mets ace Justin Verlander. This is something I never really thought I'd be talking about, but as the Mets have been terrible this year, and I mean terrible honestly probably the most disappointing team in baseball. They had a lot of good expectations with having Justin Verlander and Mad Max with the 1-2 pitching punch, and then they have a decent not so much this year, but I mean if you look at their lineup, they should have been a good hitting team. Sterling Marte, who's not been not that great this year, who I thought would have been better this year. Pete Alonso has been fantastic, and they have a decent lineup. I mean they have probably the best shortstop in baseball with Francisco Lindor. So, if not the best shortstop in baseball, one of the best shortstops in baseball with Francisco Lindor. And they have a solid lineup. I mean, and they were supposed to be this great team, and they have not been. And even though it's been said that there's not a great chance Justin Verlander or Max Scherzer gets moved at the trade deadline, it has still been said that it's still been said that the Mets are potentially willing to move Justin Verlander or Max Scherzer at the right price. And honestly, I got to say, I think there's more of a chance of the Astros trading for Max Scherzer than there is potentially Justin Verlander. Honestly, I'd probably rather want the Astros to trade for Max Scherzer than Justin Verlander, to be just completely honest. But because I think Max Scherzer probably will be a little bit cheaper in a potential trade than Justin Verlander has. Max Scherzer, I guess you could say Justin Verlander has probably been a little bit better this season. Maybe that's a little bit of an argument. But at the same time, I feel like for the Astros, Max Scherzer would be a cheaper trade target than Justin Verlander would. And also, he has a crazy contract too. But, I mean, the other thing is, in my opinion, I don't feel like the Mets are going to trade either one of Justin Verlander or Max Scherzer. And that's just what I'm thinking as of right now. Even though there's probably about 10% chance, if not probably less, percent chance the Mets make the playoffs, I still don't think they move either one of those star pitchers in Scherzer and Verlander. I would think it'd probably take a good offer to get rid of either one of those guys. And, I'm going to go over what I think a trade for the Astros would look like to land Justin Verlander back in Houston. Here's what I have happening for the Astros to get Justin Verlander back. The Astros receive Justin Verlander. And so in order to try to match salary, because you're taking on a terrible contract, or not terrible contract. I mean, I think with the way, with Verlander's age and he's not really been at the Cy Young level he was last year. I wouldn't say he's on a good contract, but I wouldn't say he's on a terrible contract at the same time either. You have to match up some salary as well. So the Astros would send Rafael Montero. That's not the only part. Then I think you'd have to send a couple top prospects. I would send he was the number one prospect for the Astros for a while. Injuries have haunted him, and just struggling in the minors have haunted him. He's still a top 20 prospect for the Astros. He's ranked 19 in prospects for the Astros in their pipeline. I have the Astros sending Forrest Whitley, the 19th best prospect and pitcher, to the New York Mets with Rafael Montero. So they get Whitley and Montero, and then you give them either one of your top 5 prospects, or top 6 or top 7, whatever it is. Either give them one of Corey Lee, Pedro Leon, or Jacob Melton. Not multiple of those guys. Maybe you might have to give up like Corey Lee and like either Jacob Melton or Pedro Leon, which would suck. But maybe try to send. I would say go ahead and try to send maybe Pedro Leon, I think it'd probably cost more, even though you're trading a top prospect. Corey Lee, a guy who's ranked fifth in the Astros prospects. Pedro Leon, a guy who's ranked sixth. I think it would probably take Rafael Montero, Forrest Whitley, Pedro Leon, and Corey Lee. And I still don't know if the Mets would want to do that deal. That's a pretty good offer. I mean, Corey Lee and Pedro Leon are players I think will be great major league players. Whitley, if he gets a chance in the majors, could be something solid at the pitching level. Montero could be a decent option for the pitching if he gets a restart somewhere. For Verlander, a guy who's 40 years old, that's not a bad offer. You're getting three really good young guys, a decent reliever when he's playing his best baseball. So, I mean, Montero's been terrible this year. Don't get me wrong. But, I mean, we're starting to see a little bit of a change from him. Like, he's pitched in his last four outings. He has a terrible, 6.2 ERA this year. But in his last four outings, he has gone through something. He's been way different. He's pitched 5.1 innings pitched in his last four outings and has only given up one earned run and 2 hits, and has, I think, 3 or 4 strikeouts in those 5 innings, and only given up 2 or 3 walks in those 5 innings as well. From a guy who was just pitching terrible before, Montero's been pitching really better as of recent for the Astros, and it's something that is good to see. But he still has a terrible contract. He could keep this up for another 2 or 3 outings, or even for the rest of the season, and his contract is still going to be terrible because the Astros are paying him $12 or $13 million a year for on a 2 or 3 year contract, which is ridiculous. And the Astros should have never done that deal. They did that just because of the season he had before and the postseason he had before, and look how bad he's been this year. So I don't think that trade happens, just because I don't think the Astros are going to trade for Justin Verlander, because at this point, all right, I know the Astros didn't think they'd have the amount of injury problems they've had to the pitching, back then when they could have re-signed Verlander. I don't think they thought, they knew Lance would probably miss some time, but I don't think they thought Lance would miss the whole season. They for sure didn't know Luis Garcia was going to miss the whole season. They didn't know Jose Urquidy was going to be out, 3 months. He's been out since, late April. He's been out since the last day of April. Has been on the injured list since the first day of May. Now it's almost August. He's been out for 3 months. They didn't know they were going to miss 3 months of Urquidy. So if they were time travelers and they knew, what was going to happen with Jose Urquidy and Luis Garcia and Lance McCullers Jr., they would have tried to re-sign Justin Verlander. But I guess that's a factor. People who probably will say, then why didn't the Astros just re-sign Justin when they had the chance? They were full of, starting pitchers. Lance is out for the season now. Luis is out for the season now. Urquidy's coming back, hopefully, in the next couple days or week, as he's made a couple rehab appearances. But he's missed the last 3 months, so that's a factor you could use into the Astros. If you're thinking okay, well, why didn't we just re-sign him? The Astros are supposed to have a lot of starting pitchers. Before. It would not made sense to re-sign Justin back then, but I think you could probably get someone for cheaper, probably for someone who's way younger, and probably makes more sense for the Astros. And I probably avoid trading for Justin Verlander if I'm the Houston Astros. I know I just said go for someone who's younger, and that fact is true what I'm about to say, but it's not much younger. I would rather the Astros trade for Max Scherzer. I would prefer the Astros to go out and get someone like Dylan Cease, who's 27 years old, or Lucas Giolito, or someone else, who could potentially be, available that is younger, and you could probably give up, top two, the prospects like Corey Lee and Pedro Leon, just like I mentioned in that potential trade for JV right there, and Forrest Whitley, and probably get someone like, a pitcher like Giolito. I would think that's what he would be worth. So, I'm not saying Giolito's better than Verlander, but never mind. But Giolito's a free agent, so I mean, I don't know if the White Sox would take Dylan Cease, if they would do a trade, sending Leon and Corey Lee and Forrest Whitley and Montero for Dylan Cease. I think they would think about that deal. I don't know if they do that though. But I would rather throw that offer to the White Sox for Cease than throwing that offer to the Mets for Justin Verlander. I don't think it makes sense. I would be happy if it happened, but at the same time, I don't think the Astros should do it. Use your thoughts, Astros fans. That's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and peace out. Go Astros.